Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of Success Starts Within. Oh my goodness, I've had such a busy few days. As you may have seen on my social media, I was invited to be filmed for a podcast. Oh my gosh, it was like a pinch me moment. You know, when you see so many people online doing all these amazing things and you think, oh God, I wish I could do that. That was something that I used to see some coaches do. And I think I'd love to go and do a podcasting day and be filmed and talk about things that I love talking about. And it happened. And it's something that doesn't happen overnight. It takes not just the action, but it takes the belief as well and the nervous system work. And interestingly, when I went to the studio yesterday, on my way, I didn't really feel nervous, which is crazy because I was around some really powerful women. I was being recorded, not only by voice, but also by film. And it was like a lot of attention. And I didn't feel that nervous. Whereas, well, even just a few months ago, I would have been quite terrified. So it goes to show that, like, with the action and the nervous system work, things can start to feel normal. And now, for me, going and doing interviews and podcasts is normal to my life. So when you do keep elevating yourself to these higher levels, the experiences that you have seen and you have desired will start to come into fruition. They'll start to come into your life, and then that will be your baseline. So the thought that going to a studio and being recorded for a podcast is now my baseline is actually crazy. And this is what I teach my clients, is to constantly elevate their identity, constantly start making these huge goals their everyday actions and the things that they have in their life. And as they keep going through life and start doing more and more opportunities are going to open, and their nervous system is going to regulate to that. So then it's going to give them the chance to elevate even more. And the sky's your limit. Like, you can be limitless. And you'll hear me say this all the time. You can be limitless if you continue to do the work. And I've always said that I want to be an international speaker. And I remember when I first said it, it felt completely out of reach for me. It just felt like it was just nowhere near possible. But now I'm starting to feel like, okay, this is getting a little bit nearer, and it's exciting because I only really set that goal for myself a few months ago. To close that gap in such a short space of time is pretty cool. So who knows? See me on the stages around the world. Come and fly to the States and listen to me. I'd love to have you there. Right, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about my journey to becoming a public speaker and why I wanted to start standing on stages and speaking to women about the things that I'd learned. But I want to start right from the beginning. So I started to learn sign language at the age of 16, and then I became a content creator. Gosh, see, my mind's in my new career now. I started to become a sign language interpreter. And that was the job that I did for 24 years until I got into coaching and launched my business a couple of years ago. And for 24 years, as a sign language interpreter, you are not allowed to use your own voice. You're not allowed to give your opinions. You're not allowed to input any information. You're not allowed to say what you want to say. You are only the conduit of information between hearing and deaf people. So that can be pretty hard, because when you hear something from the hearing person that's quite off the cuff, you then have to say that to the deaf person. But it also has put me in some very tricky situations where in a hospital setting, I've had to sadly break some news to somebody before they have been able to receive the information. So the doctor has told me the information first, and then I have had to deliver that to the deaf person. And that can be a very tricky situation, because you've got the news that you are having to break to somebody that something is terminal, or they're going to have a big operation, etc. So all of these elements of my job have created these beliefs in my mind and this nervous system imprint, and it silenced me. So when I decided that I wanted to be a coach, I knew I had to go on Instagram. We have to go on Instagram. And also, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, they're all free marketing platforms. So you'd be stupid not to get on one of them anyway. If you're not, come to me and I will speak to you about how to do that. But it's something that we all should be using, taking advantage of, because it doesn't cost us a thing. But when I knew that I needed to get on Instagram, well, it was the platform I decided to use, it took me 2 years to set up my coaching account. 2 years. Because not only was I didn't feel like I could do it, but that was all around the beliefs that I had ingrained in myself about my voice not being used, my voice not being heard, but mainly the fact that my opinions don't matter. And so because I thought my opinions don't matter, that created this block around Instagram. And I remember I came off of social media for a whole year because basically I was jealous. I was jealous of seeing people living these amazing lives, doing all of the things that I absolutely resented. And so I then created this story that they are just doing it for the gram. And me and my husband used to joke about that anyway, like having pictures of they're doing it for the gram and, people aren't telling the truth on Instagram. And I used to tell myself all of these stories that I got so worked up. I decided on the 1st of January 23 to just have a whole month off of social media. And I did that. And I loved it so much that I stayed off for a year. And it was really good for my head because being on there and seeing what other people were doing were not doing me any favors. But when I decided that I had to get online, I had to do my coaching Instagram, I had all of this to start dealing with. And when it came down to it, when I did all of the work that I do in the main character method, it came down to the fact that I didn't think my opinions mattered. So why are people going to listen to me? Why am I going to get myself online, make a tit of myself, and have people judge me because what I say doesn't make sense or what I'm saying is stupid? And this isn't a confidence thing. So sometimes we think, we're just not confident enough to be online. It's nothing to do with confidence. It's about our self-concept. It's about how we view ourselves and what we believe about ourselves. And for me, I saw myself as somebody that stood in the background when it came to their career. Now, anybody listening to this knows me personally, knows that I do not stand in the shadows. I am in the spotlight. But when it came to my career, I was the complete polar opposite. And that was because of what I had ingrained in me. They used to say things like, just ignore the interpreter, or the interpreter's invisible. They used to say that quite a lot. The interpreter's invisible. And I get that. With a deaf person and a hearing person, they want to have a conversation and the deaf person wants to be treated as an equal with the hearing person. I 100% agree with that. But I am there. I'm physically in the room and it's hard to get away from the fact that I am. So because I had these things told to me for 24 years, it is how I viewed myself. And because of that, when I wanted to start doing things for the coaching, it took me so long. Gosh, I look at some people that I went on my course with and they were being so active online very quickly, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it until I started doing the beliefs and the nervous system work. So one of the main things that I started to work on was firstly the beliefs around me being seen and showing up online and going to networking events, and I didn't even think about standing on stages at that point, but what my beliefs were. And as I said, it was all around that my opinions don't matter, I'm going to look stupid, I don't know what I'm saying, etc. Then the second thing that I started to do was work on my nervous system. Now, when I even thought about picking up my phone to do a story, immediately I could feel my heart beating. And I remember feeling this like punching my diaphragm. And that is your solar plexus. That is actually your portal for creativity, which makes sense. It was that was tightening up and being closed because the creative part of me had been, had been pushed down. I don't know what the word is. Had been suppressed. That's it. It had been suppressed for 24 years. So for me to think that I can just pick up my phone after that amount of time and start talking on a story just was completely out of alignment. So I had to start aligning my nervous system with my goal of being seen and consistent on social media. So the first way that I did that is I started to just notice what sensations came up when I firstly thought about going online, and secondly, when I picked up my phone to actually potentially do a story. Now, there were so many times where I picked up my phone and I didn't even do the story because the sensations and the bodily reaction was so vast that I couldn't do it. And so I had to do this work very slowly. Now, if anyone's like me, I am friggin' impatient. Like, if something isn't done straight away, sometimes it's just not worth it. And I get so frustrated, but you can't push your nervous system. If I have had my nervous system imprinted in this particular way for 24 years, then it's not going to change in a week. And this is the thing with self-development. And this is what I say to my clients. Some nervous system work, it's boring. It's consistent, it's repetitive, it's very short, it's very small, it's not overly exciting, but it is imperative to growth and expansion. And as I think I've said to you before, don't be trying to do half an hour or something a day. It's not going to work. Short pockets of time throughout your day to regulate, just keep your nervous system at like an even keel. And when you start to challenge yourself by picking up your phone and doing a story, or going to a networking event, or standing in front of people and pitching at the networking event, your nervous system has some kind of regulation that it can anchor onto. So for me, I did a lot of that. I did a lot of journaling and anchoring into the feelings, and then lots of breathing into those parts, like the diaphragm, where I felt like I was being punched, breathing into that and sending it some love, telling it that it was safe. Because ultimately, the nervous system is responding to what it feels as an unsafe situation. And an unsafe situation to us in this day and age is something like somebody talking to us that we don't feel comfortable with. It is having a conversation about money. It's looking at our bank account. It's picking up our phone to do a story. It's replying to a DM. That is the threat that our nervous system is under most of the time. It's not only the more physical ones where people run at you with a knife or something like that. Not that many of us, I hope, experience that. But that's what the nervous system originally was for, was to make sure that way back when, way before the caveman days, we were safe and we were able to look out for and scan our environment to make sure that there weren't any predators that were going to come and take us and kill us. Very dramatic, I know. But yes, so it's working on the nervous system, teaching it that picking up a reel is safe. And when your body starts to anticipate judgment, those feelings are going to surface. So then it's something else for you to work on. It's like, okay, I need to work on the fear of judgment and go down that rabbit hole of the beliefs and the nervous system work, etc. Because it's not just being able to learn to pick up your phone and talk, because the beliefs around that, there's so many of them, and there's different ones for different people. For me, was my opinions don't matter. For other people, it's the fear of judgment. For other people, it could be I'm not going to make a sale, so it could be around money. It could be so many different things. And this is what I do teach in the main character method, is that being able to go through each of the beliefs that you have so that you can start releasing them and start embodying the person that you want to be, the person that you see online. Like, you can become her, because I've become her. And I've done that through this process, and I've done it through a process and time, and not rushing myself to do it. And one thing I hear people say quite often is, oh, I think I'll feel a bit confident if I just do this. Maybe in a couple of months' time, I'll feel a bit more confident, so I can then go and start talking in a networking event. Or, if I attend a few networking events, then I'll just listen in, and I think at some point I'll be able to feel confident to start having conversations. It's not about the confidence at all. It's about embodying and becoming the person that walks into that networking event with her shoulders back, her bushy tail, and owning the room and speaking to every single person. It's not about confidence to be able to go and stand on a stage and talk in front of a load of people. Confidence is the byproduct of the work that you do on yourself. And if you wait to be confident and you don't do the work, it's never going to happen. So I would say, get rid of that word confidence and start digging underneath. What does that word mean to you? What does a lack of confidence mean to you? What does that look like in your everyday life? What thoughts come up when you think about that? Because when you start to dig into that, that's when you're going to find the answers. And that's when you can start doing the work on all these little elements that create this lack of confidence with standing on stage. So in April last year was the first time I ever stood on a stage. And it was in front of about 35 people. Half of them were people that I knew. And that has been one of the biggest milestones for me to date. And I'll tell you why. My biggest belief and my biggest fear was judgment from people I knew. And it wasn't just judgment from like friends. It was judgment from people that I went to school with that I hadn't seen or spoken to in about like 25 years or something like that. And I was still worried what they would think about me. And the other people that I was worried about judging me were my brothers. Now, we are siblings, we have sibling rivalry, we take the piss out of each other, and that's just what we do. It's just, if you've got siblings, you'll get it. I always thought if they saw me doing something, they're going to take the piss, they're going to say these things. And actually, what they said would only be something they would say anyway, because they're just joking. But because they were mirroring what I felt about myself, I would take it to heart, and then it would become an issue for me and I would internalize that. So that was my biggest fear. And when I did this talk in April, I invited my friends and I invited the school mums. And that was such a huge thing for me, because up to that point, I did have that fear. And it was around then that I started to release that worry about what other people thought of me. So I started to post a few things on my personal Facebook, and I invited them to come along. And I was so proud of myself at the end, because I'd overcome one of the biggest beliefs ever. And I'd done that through doing the subconscious work, the nervous system work, and then the identity piece being the action, that actually standing on the stage. So it is a process. It's not easy. And I'm not just confident and have gone up and stood on these stages and done all these talks. It's taken ages. It's taken a process to get there. And I know that each and every one of you can go through that same process. I know that each and every one of you have the ability and the capability to do that. It's just going through the main character method to get you there. So if you do have any kind of dream or goal that you just think, I want to, but I can't, you can. You absolutely can. And it starts with you, and it starts with taking away that word confidence and digging in underneath to what that actually means and what it looks and sounds like to you. Because you know what it sounded like to me, you know what it looked like to me, and now the byproduct of that is that I'm standing on stages. So the event on the 13th of March is going to be online, but there's going to be about 300 people plugging in. 300 people. That's mental. And then on the end of, then the 20th of March, I'm talking in front of 120 people in a room. In a room. That's big. 120. That is huge. So I'm preparing for that. I'm preparing my nervous system for that. And I'm doing like exercises every single day so that when I stand on that stage, I want to feel like I've already been there. And there's things that I am doing, which I teach my clients, to get you to a point where once the event is happening, your nervous system is not shocked at all, because it feels like it's been there, done that, got the t-shirt. It's done that talk already. So it's powerful work. But when you are anchored into that energy, like it's done, you will perform in your best way possible. Your voice won't quiver. You will stand with your shoulders back. You will be confident, and you will feel like it's easy. It's amazing work. So I want you to consider, Where are you silencing yourself right now? What is something that you really want to say, but you just don't feel like you can? And what beliefs do you have that are stopping you from saying it? And what can you do? What small, tiny action can you do to get towards that goal? So one thing that I say to my clients is a really good starting point is just to pick up your phone, pick a topic that you enjoy, and voice note for 5 minutes around that topic. Don't put yourself under any pressure that you're voice noting. Just visualize your best friend in front of you, or your mum, or somebody like that, and just talk to them for 5 minutes about the topic that you enjoy. And do that more and more until you start to feel that you've opened that throat chakra. You've opened that part of you, the creative part of you, that's starting to feel like it can loosen up now. And then once you're comfortable with doing that, start filming yourself. And film yourself with no judgment. Don't watch it back and go, oh God, that's so awkward. Like, look at my hair. Oh, I hate my lipstick in that. Oh God, why am I wearing that top? It's not about that. You're just watching, you're just practicing, and then you're watching back to pick up on where your voice changes, where your energy changes. And this is something that I had to do when I was learning to be an interpreter. I had to film myself, watch it back, analyze it. That was the process that I had to do in order to get to the point that I was. In order to get fluent, that is the main thing that I did, was film myself, watch it back, assess it, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And that is the quickest way for you to start feeling confident to use your voice. And then you'll get to a point where you're ready to post, or you'll get to a point where you're ready to apply for that podcast, or you're ready to apply to stand on that stage. Because I want you to know that your voice does matter. Your voice matters the same as everybody else's voice. And what you have to say is just as important as the people that you see online. But I want you to also know that the way that you say it is going to land differently to some people as what she says it. So just because you might be thinking the same things and you think, oh, I can't say that because I hear this all the time. This is something that I did a lot, by the way. I was like, oh, this is, the market's quite saturated and people are hearing it like this all the time. Yes, they are, but they're not hearing it in your voice, and they're not hearing it the way that you say it. And nobody, absolutely nobody, can replicate that. You are individual, and people will be attracted to you for certain reasons. So please don't think that what you have to say isn't important, or that you've heard it 1,000 times before, because the right ears are going to hear it. So if you felt inspired by today's episode and you think, do you know what, my voice does bloody matter, and I am open to getting out online and getting on stages and making more of an impact than what I'm doing now, then come and talk to me about the main character shift. It is my 6-month identity-led, amazing container where I take you through the main character method. And the main character method is a method that I have created myself using the tools and resources, practices, and all the other things that I have experienced that I know work to create change. And I will take you from where you are now in terms of your thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors, and I will get you to where you want to be. I will get you to the place where you are applying for podcasts, where you are going on podcasts, where you are pitching at networking events and you're not quivering in your voice, where you're picking up your phone and your stories like, yeah, I love it. You're not thinking about what other people think, because we've gone past that. Your main character doesn't give a fuck what other people think, because she's on her own path. She's on her own journey, and she doesn't allow anybody else's opinions to get in the way. And that is what I do in the main character shift. So if it's something that you're thinking, hell fucking yes, I need this in my life, I'm fed up of wasting time, and I'm fed up of thinking and worrying about what the people think of me, then DM me at Kirsty_Mason_coaching. Sorry, I forgot my Instagram handle then. Or send me an email, whatever. Just get in touch with me. And let's talk about it, because I don't want you to waste time. I don't want you to waste time like I did. I want you to start becoming the person that you want to be now, because the world needs to hear your voice. Thank you so much for listening, ladies. Bye.